Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill, on a Wednesday, the 20th of October. That means it's somebody's birthday. Jeremy Hill, happy birthday, sir.
I appreciate that. Should I whip up the mighty poster right now? Show the people what I want for my birthday?
You put a ton of time and effort into it. You might as well pull it out.
I got to pull the poster out, man. Look, this is all I want for my birthday.
His birthday wishes.
These are my birthday wishes.
He wants game coin.
I got that checked off. We got that going. Got the tequila at the house ready to go. Got that going. Got the victory cigar, too. Got that going. Now, these last two are the ones right here. We're working on these right now. Now, this one, we got to get Lane. Let's get Lane drawing up some plays. And Lakers, what are we doing?
Well, we're going to talk about your Lakers later.
We'll figure that out.
You're still wishing for Lane Kiffin to be the head coach at LSU and the Lakers to show up.
Yes,
well,
that's it.
I can't confirm or deny any of that's going to happen. But we wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you.
We know that you will not be with us the next 2 days, so we'll try to get as much out of you as we can today. We're here in the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. I am Hunt Palmer. He, of course, is the birthday boy, Jeremy Hill. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Josh Smith, former LSU shortstop and member of the Texas Rangers organization. He was traded at the trading deadline from the Yankees to the Rangers. Had a monster year. I want to talk a lot of different things with Josh. He and his wife have put together some hilarious videos on the internet about living minor league life. I want to talk about what minor league life is about. It's about to change as MLB has adopted a new rule where they're going to provide housing for minor league players, which has been a really hot button issue, the underpayment of minor league players and their quality of life. So I want to talk to Josh about that. And obviously, I want to talk a little baseball with him as well. We'll look ahead to the Ole Miss Rebels, of course, and Sharif Ishaq at 1:15. We'll be talking black and gold. So we'll start with the Ed Orgeron teleconference. And I think more so than the sound we got out of it today, the more interesting it was so short. He just got a couple of questions and was very quick with his answers. And I'll take something from that. But the first thing was about turning the page and looking ahead to Ole Miss.
Obviously, we were very pleased when I went over to Florida Gators. We had the 24-hour rule, had to move forward. On a very, very good Ole Miss football team, one of the best offenses we're going to see all year. Lane Kiffin is one of the best play callers in college football. And
he continued to talk about his decision, knowing that his contract's going to be terminated at the end of the year, to go ahead and coach out the end of the season.
I feel good about it. I mean, this is our team. I wanted to finish out with it. My athletic director wanted me to finish out with it. We haven't blinked. We moved forward. It's the focus really now is on Ole Miss, and really not much has changed.
So, you say not much has changed. A lot has changed. The fact of the matter is that he's not going to be back next year, and a lot of these assistant coaches will be without a job. The players are not going to be playing next year if they're here for the coaches that sign them. But there is a football game to get ready for. Again, there were a couple more sound bites that we may get to here, but the overriding theme for me is because there were so few questions of Ed, all that outside stuff is just gone. It's just gone. All it is go to school, watch tape, come in, get a workout in, go to practice, prepare to play Ole Miss. There's no, what's our standing looking like for the SEC West? There's no, okay, can we go ahead and get in the playoff? There's no, is our coach going to get fired? None of that exists. It's just simply go play.
Yeah, and that's what these guys have got to be put into situations for the rest of this season. And I think the best part about it from an LSU perspective, especially with the amount of injuries we have right now, is you're going to get a ton of young guys opportunities this year that you thought they'd never be thrust into. And I think you'll see guys like Sage Ryan get a ton of more snaps, something that we didn't expect to see. You're going to see guys like Malik Neighbors continue to step up and make plays. And obviously some guys that we thought were going to be on the back burner, guys like Jeray Jenkins, who you thought would get less snaps. He's going to be thrust back in there. And obviously this run game has taken a huge leap. So I think there's still a ton to play for. Pride in the standard of LSU. You still have to respect that. Teams are going to be trying to, get easy victories off of you and feeling like you're a team that they can take advantage of. So I think for us, Coach O is going to do his best job to keep these kids motivated.
And I think they've got to be feeling a little bit better after what happened last week. We talked about it on Monday, and it's just, you win a game, feel a little bit better. And that's what these people came here to do. You didn't expect to be 3-3. You expect to go out there and be in big-time football games and come out with a win. And LSU hadn't done that, quite honestly, because they couldn't run the ball worth a flip. And that obviously changed on Saturday. And Ed Orgeron talked today about the maturation of his offensive line.
I spent a bunch of time last week showing cut-ups of our offensive line dominating our defensive line, knocking them off the ball. Now, I'm the defensive line coach also, so I didn't like it. But I had to show the team. I think Brad Davis has done a tremendous job with this line. They're the most improved unit on the team.
So we think that's the case. Obviously, they were on Saturday. The question is, can they sustain it? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. We've seen certain things and characteristics of this team. Just kind of up and down play. But I think the last 2 weeks, you saw that run game take a huge leap. You saw them kind of get their 5 that they kind of like. You saw Bradford out there pushing people around. You saw Marlon Martinez out there pushing people around. And those are the things you need to give offense confidence. And if you come into games and you get some of these rush defense you're going to get for the rest of the season, like Ole Miss, like Arkansas, you're going to have chances to win all of these football games. So to say, we have nothing to play for. The season's over. I think we'd be fooling ourselves. We kind of saw the SEC West kind of come together in a kind of a bunch. You see the top 2 teams in this league. I think we can play with all these other teams. And when you know that going into each game, you have a ton to play for.
I'm talking with Brad Davis this evening as part of my assistant coach interview for the pregame show that'll air on Saturday. And I can't wait to pick his brain. It's been such an interesting transition for him as a guy who came in a time that is very unfamiliar for college coaches to come in late in the summer and then just really dive in and get ready for camp. Now, he inherited a very veteran group, which helps. If you were dealing with a bunch of new guys, that would be really cause for disaster. And you could call what this offensive line was in the run game for the first month a disaster, but he's a good coach. And I think his fingerprints were on what we saw on Saturday. And I anticipate that, there are going to be some struggles along the way for the offensive line, but I think the days of LSU not being able to run the ball at all for this season are likely over.
Yeah, you don't get the all-time rushing record in a game, and that thing just kind of disappears and goes by the wayside. I think they found something here. You've seen they changed up the scheme. We didn't bust any of those big runs last week from inside zone, which we were running a ton of this season. A lot of those plays were pulling plays, and you're getting your athletic offensive linemen in space and blocking little linebackers who are, with now the way the SEC is set up, everyone wants to stop the spread. So you get these guys running downfield and blocking these 220-pound linebackers. You're going to get a great advantage. So I see Pete and the crew continue to run some of this pulling guard stuff and mix some RPOs with that.
And Orgeron and this LSU team going to be facing an Ole Miss offense that we know has a ton of firepower. The question is about that Ole Miss defense. Is it improved? Is it not? They've shown some flashes in halves this year against Tennessee in the first half, better against in the opener against Louisville, a little bit better in the first half, but they still got gashed for 50 against Arkansas. Alabama had their way, but two of the guys that have really made a bit of an impact over there at Ole Miss are Otis Reese and Chance Campbell.
You bring up a good point because I recruited both of those young men. I recruited Otis Reese. I knew him in high school, and then I recruited Chance as a transfer linebacker. Those guys are excellent football players. Really, Chance is really a smart football player. They play that 3-3 defense, so he's running around making a bunch of plays. And Otis Reese, to me, was one of the best players coming out of high school. Two very good players.
They've added some new faces to this DJ Durkin defense, and we'll get to a lot of those as the week moves forward. But they've tried to supplement it with new guys as opposed to just growing the current roster. They've gone and got some transfers like Chase Campbell. They've gone in and went heavy on the defense in recruiting. And they're still not great, but they're getting a little better. I think playing defense for Ole Miss would be maybe one of the most fun units to play for because so what if you give them a 70-yard touchdown? Like your offense probably go back down and score. It's not that big a deal. You just got to be aggressive and try to make some plays. If you can, I heard a great line earlier this week from Jake Crane from the J-Boy Show who was on with the guys who cover Ole Miss, Neil McCready and Chase Parham. And he said, look, if you're Ole Miss's defense, you're not out there trying to shut everybody down. You're out there trying to get 5 punts and a turnover. You can get 5 punts and a turnover, you're going to win almost every single time. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But I would think it would be kind of a fun unit to play with knowing that the expectations aren't that high and the consequences aren't that high because you figure they're going to score 40 on the other side more often than not unless you're playing Alabama or Georgia. Got a good chance to win.
Yeah, that's just the way they play. They rush three a lot. They really rarely ever have 4 down linemen, which lets you see there are a ton of rush lanes there to have if you want to have them. And they're just trying to play bend but not break. If they can force you to kick field goals, they're loving that every possession. They don't even have to create turnovers. They just want you to have quick possessions that don't end in 7. And that's kind of where they play, but it's a dangerous brand of football. You got guys like KJ Jefferson trotting into town, putting up 50 on you. Yep. Just not what you want to see. So I think for Lane and the crew, he's got to do his best job to optimize his offensive possessions, which is why you see him going for it on 4th and short every chance he gets.
You think he learned from that, or you think that's still going to be his mentality when he plays against an offense that he knows is going to score a bunch of points?
I think that's his mentality. I think you have the world of confidence in yourself. You don't get Matt Corral trotting into town too many times. And so you have that guy at quarterback. You keep him on the field as much as you can. So I don't see Lane turning from that anytime soon. That offense is so high-powered. The more snaps and the more plays that are out there, with their run game especially, they're going to wear people down.
I do think that his sense of urgency was elevated because of Alabama, because of the game they played against them the year before where they scored 60 points and they had gone down the field and scored a touchdown their first drive. And he just kind of thought, they're going to score almost every time they get it. We've got a guy who gives us a fighting chance to keep up. I'm going to give him the ball every time I can. I don't think that's necessarily going to be his MO in every game. When he thinks his defense has a chance to put up a fight, he's going to let them. He just didn't think they had any chance in Bryant-Denny.
Yeah, that was an uphill battle, and he knew that going in. He felt really confident, like you said, talked about his popcorn and doing all that stuff. But that's a buzzsaw you run into, and you had the full attention of Nick Saban, especially in that game with Ole Miss flying high the way they were. You knew Bama was going to come out locked in, ready to go, and Lane knew that as well, which is why he knew he had to score a ton of points in that game just to have a chance. And so we'll see. I think their defense, if you're letting Arkansas put up 50-plus on you, it's not going to bode well. And I think they kind of got lucky at Tennessee. That game ended in a very favorable fashion for the Rebels. So I see Lane being aggressive because that's really what the defense he has. That's what he's going to have to do.
Alex says, ask Hunt in the Bayou Ford chat on the YouTube channel, do you have some purple and gold golf balls I can borrow to take to Oxford this weekend? I'm more of a white golf ball type of player. I don't have a lot of colored golf balls. But if you stop by, your in-town putt-putt venture, they got plenty of colored golf balls you can grab in there. I wouldn't advise throwing them at humans. Not necessarily kind of behavior that I'm going to endorse. So try to avoid that if at all possible. Greg Lehman says, ask Hunt for the bye week. Which part of Tuscaloosa will we be staying with for your planned getaway with your wife? Actually, we will not be going to Tuscaloosa. We'll be going to New York. It's a little bit larger. I have a greater affinity for it than Tuscaloosa, but still. Tuscaloosa's got some good bars, a couple restaurants. Got to watch a football game. It's not that bad. I just hate their team and their coach a lot. Talk to Josh Smith. That's coming up next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at patientplusuc.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards, and look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time.
It's week 8 in the prep football season, and we get you started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview. Catholic High and Seminole kick off at 7, immediately followed by a full 2 hours of the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, CST, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out in the open field on a Wednesday. Our pleasure now to bring aboard former Tiger shortstop Josh Smith. Excited to speak with Josh about a number of things. Josh, how we doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing really, really good. I want to go chronologically so we don't jump around here because I want to get to the new rule that Major League Baseball has passed about minor league baseball players and housing, but we'll get to that towards the end. First, let's talk about you. You leave LSU, your draft choice of the Yankees. You spend 1 month and a half playing minor league baseball in 2019, and then all of a sudden in 2020, they tell you we don't have anywhere for you to play. Just hang out at home. What'd you do all year in 2020?
Yeah, so that was a very unique, weird experience. And then my time made it seem like my time with the Yankees was literally felt like 2 months. And so when they called and told us to go home for COVID and everything, I really for the first month or so didn't do much. And then me and Antoine Duplantis got together and we were just kind of trying to find any place we could just to hit and work out. I know at one point we were hitting in a construction building had a little spare cage. So just trying to grind out, just get some work in wherever we could.
Did you feel like you took a year off, or did you feel like you made some improvement? I realize that's got to be something you could have never prepared yourself for.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, when we first got back, I felt like I hadn't played a lot because I was striking out more than I'd ever struck out before. And I think that was just because we skipped a whole year of live pitching and everything. So, but once you get back into the groove of things, I mean, it's still the game you've been playing for a while. So I was comfortable once I got back.
Well, 2021, it looked comfortable. You hit 309 with 13 homers and stole 26 bases in 78 games, but you played for 4 teams at 2 different levels, and you got traded in the middle of the year at the deadline. Joey Gallo got sent from the Rangers up to the Yankees, and you were part of the return package to the Rangers organization. What was 2021 like for you in terms of moving all around like that?
Yeah, so it was nuts. I started out in Tampa. I had hurt my thumb, so I was in Tampa low A for 3 weeks, and then I moved up to high A, Hudson Valley, New York, traded in the middle of the game on my off day, which is nuts, and then traded to the Rangers and went to North Carolina for a couple weeks, and then ended the year in Frisco, Texas. But I had my wife with me, so it was nice for her to travel with me. I didn't have to go through it all by myself, so that made it a lot easier. But just a wild year, but I'm happy it happened.
What pitches have you had to adjust to the most going up from college to the major? I know for me, I had to put the baseball bat down when I started seeing those sliders away. It was just too much for me. What about you?
For me, honestly, in pro ball, you see a lot more guys with velo just on their fastballs. every day you're facing 94 to 97, it felt like. And in college, you'll see those guys every now and then, but just not as consistent. And the guys at the pro level can command it and throw it super hard, so it makes hitting really, really hard.
What's minor league life like, if I just gave you an open-ended question like that, in terms of the travel, the hours, the finances, the teammates, the trades, all that kind of stuff?
So you got to love it. If you don't love playing baseball for a living, it can be a real grind. But I mean, I love it. So to me, it's just every day I get to go to work, and for my work, it's playing baseball. Who cares if I'm not getting paid all that much? I'm having fun, doing what I like to do. I'm young, so it is a grind, but I mean, it's every day. Travel this year, they made travel a little bit easier because we'd go to certain places for about a week instead of every 2 or 3 days. But it's a grind. But if you love it, it's just like anything else. It's easy if you love it.
This is a conversation that we have every single June and July around here because we're focused on LSU signing class coming in. But you've done both now. You've gone to college and played in the College World Series, and you've lived minor league life, and you've gotten a signing bonus and all that kind of stuff. You've seen it all. What would you advise a high school athlete, a baseball player who has that decision in front of them to weigh most importantly?
So unless if you're getting, this is my opinion, unless if you're getting first round money out of high school and you got a chance to go to a place like LSU, then you got to go to LSU. For me, out of high school, I basically set my number extremely high just because I knew I wasn't going to get it, and because I wanted to go to college. And looking back on it, if you'd have paid me $3 million, I wouldn't have skipped out on LSU in my experience there. It's just you don't play in front of crowds like that and the atmosphere like that until probably get to the big leagues, which I don't know about that, but LSU you got to come to LSU. That's what I would advise all the kids to do, unless if you're just getting life-changing money.
Talk about the process for a guy that's in the double A's, and how well do you have to play to really get that call up to AAA and finally make it to the majors?
Yeah, so that's a good question because, I mean, in baseball, it's a long season, and there's injuries, call-ups, all this and that. So you really you got to play, you got to be consistent, you got to stay healthy. I'm hoping soon I'll get the call. Just going to keep working, but. It's a long season, so there's a lot of moves, and you just got to stay focused no matter what.
Josh Smith, former Tiger shortstop, now a member of the Texas Rangers organization, joining us here on Hunt and Hill. All right, so we saw the new rule that was passed this week about Major League Baseball providing housing for minor leaguers. You've seen some minor league stuff, although you did miss a year. You hear horror stories about guys sleeping in their car and finances getting so tight with guys chasing their dream. What have you seen in your time in minor league baseball, and what is this going to do for guys who are living that life?
Yeah, this is a really, really big step for the future of minor leaguers, just because some guys aren't fortunate enough to get a good signing bonus, to where they're grinding every single paycheck just to pay for rent, and then on top of that, you're trying to get 3 hits in a game. It's a lot of stress on the players. But this is a big move. I think a couple guys that I played with, you see all the horror stories. I mean, people call it horror stories, this and that, but I tell you what, a lot of the guys would say it's worth it, just because they get to play. But you got guys sleeping in 6 deep in a hotel room, whatever, this and that. I mean, me and my wife this year, I think we stayed in 19 different hotels, so it was a lot. But we had fun with it, and we took it as it went with it.
Yeah, let's talk about you having fun with it. You and your wife, Claire, produce a lot of content, put some stuff on YouTube, have a channel. Where can people find that, and what can they expect on that channel?
Yeah, so that channel is called Getting Smithy with It, and it's just basically it's just kind of like behind the scenes of everything that goes on in our lives. I know a lot of people don't get to see the minor league and the living situations and the everyday life of it. So we try to provide that. We thought it was cool, and she does a great job with it. And then just having her with me, it makes it a lot more special. So,
how do you think you and your wife would have took advantage of this whole NIL if you were still on the Tigers when that was around?
I don't know. I wish I'd have been here during that. I don't know if I'd have got any deals, but I definitely would have attempted to.
Have you met Jay Johnson?
I have. Yeah, he seems great. Seems like he's a good fit for here.
I watched Dylan Crews hit. I know you're playing when LSU is playing, but that guy to me seems like he's got a chance to be one of the best players that's ever played at LSU. That's lofty, but you've played with some of them. What do you think?
Yeah, you can actually go back, and I think someone called me, or it was Wilson Alexander, I think, did an article on him. It's like his 5th game of the year, and I saw him play one game, and I literally called my dad, and I was like, this kid's going to be one of the best hitters I've ever seen at LSU. And he went off and had that year, his freshman year, and I still believe that. That kid rakes. he's so strong. He's clutch. He's physical. He's going to be a special baseball player. I think he's going to be one of the best to come out of LSU.
Josh, I've really enjoyed it. Congratulations so much on a big year and the new scenery over there at the Texas Rangers, and best of luck in the offseason. And we'll see you in the show pretty soon.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. He is Josh Smith. He was a freshman when they got to the finals of the College World Series back in 2017 and really took off in Omaha, hit a couple home runs, and was a huge piece. That team as a freshman had to miss his sophomore year basically because of an injury, but he was a great player at LSU, and we'll play in the major leagues sometime soon. He, again, in the minor leagues, 2 different levels. He hit over 300, stole 26 bases, and hit 13 home runs in 78 games. So it's he's got a bright future ahead.
Man, yeah, that's what you want to do when you go to the minors and play that well and just keep your name up there and play consistent. And that's what Josh has been doing. And having the content with the wife doesn't hurt either.
Nah. He was traded for Joey Gallo, who incidentally signed at LSU and decided to go take the money and go hit home runs in the minor leagues and made it up and has made a career for himself. Josh will be up there very, very soon. Jay Johnson needs to cut out that Josh Smith soundbite advice that they'd offered me $3 million, and knowing what I know now, I would go to LSU 100 times out of 100. So good little recruiting bit there, and I think that's going to start being the case more and more. It already has started more and more. Guys are turning down that 4th, 7th round money out of high school to go to college, because now the college game is so much different than it was 20 years ago. I mean, there's charter jets everywhere, and you're playing on TV, and now there's there's NIL stuff, name, image, likeness stuff, and you can make some cash, have a great experience flying charter, and having your room and board, and then playing on TV, trying to win, as opposed to the minor leagues where it's bus rides, hotels, tight money budget, playing in front of nobody. Now your development's good, but it's just a better experience, I think, having done neither, to play in college.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes making it through to the majors such a beautiful experience, and it makes it so rare. This everything you have to deal with in the minor leagues, from the scheduling to the living situations to the pay. It makes that journey just so beautiful when those guys get to play that well and get that opportunity to go to the next level.
If you figure most guys make their debut between 23 and 25, if you sign on at 18, you're going to do that for 5 years? Or if you sign on and could play at LSU and then you do it for 2 years and they may give you a call. If you're Aaron Nola or Alex Bregman, some of these elite players. And Josh Smith, obviously, this would have been his 3rd year, 2.5 years in the minors. He's, fast track moving up the ranks because of his development at LSU. So enough baseball for right now. We'll turn the page to the Ole Miss Rebels and look at their offensive numbers and the personnel. That's coming up next on Hunt and Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Coming up on Thursdays Off the Bench, let's look forward to the football weekend that will be as we break down the best games coming up. Can LSU pull off the upset the second year in a row over the Rebs? Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Y'all miss some of the good stuff when we're off the air. So I've got written down in the log. Let's talk about Jeremy's memories of the Ole Miss series. And I was thinking back, I was like, yeah, he played in that game. Odell ran the punt back in, and I looked at him and I said, "Did you do anything in that game?" He goes, "Yeah, I had 3 touchdowns." I said, "All right, that's a good answer. Good answer to the question." But yeah, I mean, this is that was a wild one back in 2012, 41-35, the final Odell with the punt return there in the second half to kind of, as Scott Rabelais put it via Twitter, this is burned in my brain. He said Odell Beckham just went all Billy Cannon on Ole Miss. It was the October 17th, so it wasn't Halloween night, but that was a wild one.
That was a wild one, man. And I think they started out on us fast. They took a lead, and then I remember us answering right away. I scored one right in the student section. Nothing like those student section touchdowns, man. The place just goes absolutely nuts. Answered the bell, tied it up 7-7, and then it was just a shootout ever since. And of course, Bo Wallace just playing out of his mind, just throwing it up the yard to Dante Moncrief, just a back-and-forth game, and Odell just scoring that punt return. I remember the place just erupting at that moment, and just having to score that game-winning drive. I think I scored like 15 seconds up or something like that. Yeah. And we put it away at the last minute. But, yeah, that was a barn burner and a great one to be a part of.
This is, one of the oldest rivalries in LSU history. I know Matt a lot of times brings up generations on his show, specifically during Auburn week. He generally says, if you've got grandparents, and if he's talking about his age, which is about our age relatively, it's My generation, Auburn was, in your formative years, that was the toughest game. That was the game that decided the West. That was a big deal. If you're, under 25, it's Bama, and it has been for a long time. But if you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, you can remember Ole Miss being the thorn on LSU's side, and vice versa, really. But LSU leads the series 64-40-4. So a nice lead for LSU in the Magnolia Bowl, as it were. We probably won't use that the rest of the week. But look, this is a game that should be really exciting like last year's was. And if you're paying attention at all about this Ole Miss program under Lane Kiffin, but when you start to go through the notes, start to look at the statistics, it's really impressive what he's been able to do at Ole Miss. They're top 10 in the country in all these statistics offensively. And it's not just the gaudy yard stuff. It's everything. Total offense, they're in the top 10 in the country, 553 yards a game. Scoring offense, they score 43.7, top 10. Rushing offense, 262 yards per game. You don't think about that when you think of Matt Corral slinging all over the place. They're top 10 in the country in rushing offense. First downs, they got 170. Now, how about these? Fewest interceptions. They've thrown one interception this year. Now, that's Corral. Just one interception. They've only lost 4 turnovers on the season. So, yeah, they're rolling up yards. They're rolling up points. They're running the football. They're getting first downs. They're not turning it over either. And that's what got Corral in trouble last year. He threw 6 picks at Arkansas and 5 more here in Baton Rouge. When he doesn't do that, they are a problem.
Yeah, that makes that offense just ungodly, man. It's just like they put you in such a tough position as a defense because you really don't know what to give up. You give them light boxes, they don't mind. Lane will run the ball, which is why I have him so heavily regarded. He doesn't care how he gets to the end zone. He's got to scheme you up and do what you're giving him. So you start stacking that box, and they're going to start RPOing you. It's just a really tough offense to stop, especially when you got a matriculator like Matt Corral at the quarterback position, who on any given Saturday he can pull it down and rush for almost 200 yards with his legs. It just makes them extremely dynamic. So we're going to have our hands full with us. I think our calling card and what we've played the best this year as a defense, we force turnovers. And I think that's going to be our best chance to really slow them down this Saturday.
Like I gave you a generic average offense. I gave you an average offensive line, average receiving core, average backs, and average play caller. Across the board average. Would you take Corral or Bryce Young as your starting quarterback?
Ooh, I would go Corral. He's a little more battle tested. He's been there, done that. He's had the worst, the lows of lows, and he knows what that's like. And you see him make that leap and turn around. I think Bryce is still, has some questions to answer. Still has to, show me a full season of work. But I think right now I'm gonna have to go Corral.
I'm gonna stop the conversation here for a second. All 3 of y'all in this room. Does anybody smell something burning? Raise your hand if you smell something burning. Okay, that's not just me. All right, hopefully we'll be okay. If I start screaming on the air, it's because this place is burning down. But it smells significantly like something is burning. Back to Ole Miss's offense. This is an Ole Miss offense, and I mentioned if I gave you everything average, they don't have Elijah Moore like they did last year, who was a star. They don't have Laquan Treadwell from the Hugh Freeze days, A.J. Brown, D.J. Metcalf, some of these NFL beasts on the outside. This is a receiving core and a running back room when you add, Snoop Connor's a nice running back. Jerry and Ely is a really good athlete. He plays outfield on the baseball team and runs it for them. They don't have incredible weapons. I was listening to an Ole Miss podcast earlier this week, and they're like, yeah, it's basically just Corral making it work. That's why he's, to me, the front runner for the Heisman. Bryce Young's got a cushy spot over there. Now, he's a hell of a player. Corral's dragging this crew along for the ride.
Yeah, he is. He's their leading rusher. He has more rushing yards than all their backs with 450 right now, and obviously almost 2,000 passing yards halfway through the season. He's having an incredible season. Just a Heisman season. I know the questions going into this season, could he take care of the ball? People were just getting so sick last year with all the interceptions and turnovers, but to have one interception to this point in the season, I think is incredible. He's playing out of his mind, and you got to have your hands full with old Matt.
Bilbo Baggins, the only thing burning is the heat coming from this fire chat. Don't pat yourself on the back too hard, Bilbo. I do enjoy the chat, though. I appreciate everybody for chiming in on that Bayou Ford chat. So you're Durante Jones. I want to get a lot of your thoughts over the next hour and 20 minutes as you're going to be out of here the next 2 days. What do you do?
I think I mix in a little of that 3-man front. I think you can't give Lane the vanilla 4-man front. One high looks. He's going to carve you up with that. You got to get a little more exotic. You got to give them some stuff, especially on third down. If you can find a way to slow their run game down and not let Corral, you just like, we've seen this defense get hurt with a quarterback running around the backyard. That kind of scares me a little bit. I think we'll be a little more prepared for that now because we know what Corral can do with the legs. But I think just getting a little more exotic, I think you have to do that, especially going against Lane Kiffin.
Football coaches, they tell the media nothing more often than not, but I wonder if things are different behind closed doors in the office. Is there ever a situation where the players would be made privy to some sort of conversation, and I'm hypothesizing here, that, like, say, Lane Kiffin would go into DJ Durkin's office and say, hey, look, I know that you can't take this collection of guys and shut a team down. I need you to take more chances to try to get turnovers, and if they hit a big play, we'll catch you on the back end. Like, does that stuff, it may happen between the coaches, you wouldn't know. Does it ever happen to the players? Like, hey, we need to help the defense this week. They're struggling. We're going to run the ball way more and try to slow things down.
Yeah, that's something the head coach only talks about, especially to start the week when you're putting in the game plan. You're not afraid to talk about that, especially if you're going against a high-powered offense. You have those guys that you circle in the game plan, and they're circling Matt Corral. He's going to have a red dot, the red jersey. The whole 11 guys are going to be focusing on that guy. So you know what you have with that, and I think that just you have to work together as a team, and that's what makes team sports so beautiful. This week, special teams and offense is going to have to make a huge leap because Ole Miss is going to, every possession they have the ball, they feel like they can go get 7, and it's a real threat to them go get that.
Because I know that coaches have egos and they have that competitive fire that makes them great, and they think, well, I'll pitch a shutout. But the fact of the matter is, if you're Ole Miss's defense, like, you're not, because your players aren't that good. Like, that's just the fact of the matter. You can play hard and you can make some plays, but you're going to give up some big ones. I wonder if there's not just a thought of like, hey, send some more blitzes. Like, tell your guys to get aggressive and try to strip the ball when they're running. We may miss a tackle, but if we can make a play, we can cash it in. That's how we're more likely to win a game.
Yeah, I think especially with that offense, if you just sit back in vanilla coverages, play soft zone, just play just simple man-to-man and just try to keep it simple, Lane's going to carve you up. He's going to draw stuff up. He's going to get guys on mismatches. You got to, as crazy as it sounds, you got to trick them a couple of times. You got to send some looks that they may haven't seen. You got to, maybe disguise that safety, rotate those safeties. If you just come out there and shell coverages and, cover 2 looks and cover 1 looks, it's going to be a long day, especially when Corral starts pulling down and using his legs.
Now, we heard that he got banged up pretty good with those 30 carries for 200 yards last week, and Kiffin said on Monday it doesn't look very good for him to play. Orgeron says, that's a smokescreen. I know my buddy. He's just throwing out there he's going to play. But in the same vein, he still probably doesn't feel great. Does that change your game plan? You got to go after him and try to hit this guy.
Yeah, especially as a defense. That has to be high on the priority list. You got to get as many helmets on his body as you can. You got to bang him up. You got to get the pass rush after him. I think we're going to rush for a ton. I just haven't seen Durante send that much this year. He's just kind of been running that cover 3 and cover 1 man, and it's worked somewhat. But I think this week you're going to have to either send guys off the edge, find ways to get free rushers towards Corral, because if you just let him sit back there all day, he's going to carve the best of them up.
Hard to take too many chances when your secondary is as banged up as LSU is. Now, they've made plays. This whole banged-up crew made plays last year against Ole Miss. Jay Ward had a pick 6 in that game, and they made some plays last week as they were banged up. But still, you can't imagine that you can do things quite the same as you would do it with Stingley and Ricks out there.
Oh, yeah. With those two, it's probably the 2 prohibited favorite best corners in the nation, All-Americans on each side. It just creates a whole different dynamic as a defensive coordinator. You kind of can play with the guys in the middle and do fun stuff with them, but kind of when you kind of worry about the outside, you got to keep those safeties deeper. You got to do a little more 2 high safety looks, and when you do that, you open up their run game. So I think for us, this week especially, he's got to keep guys in the box like he's been doing all year with that 4-2-5 look, and hopefully those guys on the outside can hold up.
Plenty of football talk coming in hour number 2. We'll wind down hour number 1 next on Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my four boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at patientplusuc.com, you can sign up.
Coming up on a Wednesday edition of Early Line, we go out to New York City to talk to Ben Mintz of Barstool Sports and start looking ahead to this weekend slate in college and pro football. Early Line, 2 to 3 p.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up hour number 1, the NBA season is upon us. A pair of games last night. The Bucks beat the Nets 127-104, and the Warriors went to Staples, got out alive 121-114 over your Lakers. What did you see?
Well, exactly what I expected to see, man. Just a lot of sloppy basketball play, just not efficient enough. And just not scoring, not shooting enough three-pointers from the outside. I think teams are going to crowd the paint, and I never liked the Russell Westbrook addition. Minus 23 plus minus. That's just not good.
That is not good. Giving up 38 points in the fourth quarter, also not good when you lose the game by 7.
Yeah, not good at all. I was feeling good going into the fourth quarter. I'm like, okay, got a little 10-point lead here, covering ground, AD hitting shots, Melo coming in off the bench, draining threes, LeBron's having a game. I'm like, what can go wrong? And then we just let the bench players from the Warriors just drain three after three, pull, draining threes, just oh man, it's just bad, and it's exactly what I expected, man. I think it's gonna look like this for a while to start the year, especially getting Russell used to playing with LeBron and AD. I don't like our chances this year. I just don't.
I think they're going to be fine. Nets lose to the Bucks by 23. That's pretty emphatic win for the champs.
Yeah, big win, man. Got Uncle Drew, doing his little thing, doing his little extravaganza. That's a big piece for the Nets. That team isn't quite the same without the big three. They're not going to get enough defensive stops, and the best for them is just outscoring people. And when you're missing a guy who can drop 30 every night, that definitely hurts your chances. So until they figure out that Kyrie situation, I think teams are going to have their way scoring on them.
All right, let's wind it back around to the local angle here, and that's 76ers Pelicans. The biggest story maybe in the NBA right now is Ben Simmons showing up, getting kicked out of practice, getting suspended for a game, and the national media is just basically lambasting him. Like, this guy is just an absolute disaster. And I don't want to pile on the guy. I know that a lot of people around Baton Rouge don't love Ben Simmons based on he plays the 1 year here. They turned down an NIT bid. He puts out the documentary basically saying that, the entire NCAA structure is a disaster and I've been exploited and I don't have enough money to buy groceries and the whole thing. And I found it all to be a tad over the top and a little bit exaggerated. I didn't love his mindset and the way he approached college basketball, which obviously shows it's not for everybody. But he felt like he was being exploited as opposed to having an opportunity to play college basketball, which a lot of people would love to do. And now he's got an opportunity to, play on a team, and instead he wants to go to practice with a cell phone in his pocket and sweatpants and get kicked out and then not show up for a game. It's just he's a mental disaster right now.
The more thinking about this I've done, I think I've come to a conclusion here. Because honestly, I think this is just a play right out of the Rich Paul playbook. You saw Anthony Davis disgruntled in New Orleans. He just became a problem. You saw Harden have some success with that last year. Obviously, he's not a Rich Paul guy, but I think that's where Ben is headed, and I think that's where these NBA players are headed. If they want to get out of town, they just, become a huge
But
problem.
if you're Anthony Davis and you're one of the 5 best players in the league, like, you can do that. I realize Ben Simmons has made some all-star teams, some all-defensive teams, but does he have the leverage to do that and have people in the league be like, I don't care what you did, come on in? Like, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's what we said yesterday. The trade value, trust me, he would have been gone months ago if the trade value was there. It's just not there. And as a other GM from another team, what do we give up for Ben Simmons? Like, is he going to shoot jumpers? Like, am I giving up first-round picks? Am I giving up a ascending player on my roster? It's just, and the whole world knows that the Sixers are trying to get off of him. It's just a bad time for Ben to play it out this way. It's a bad hill to pick to die on because you're going to end up in a Deshaun Watson type situation where the team really can't move you. And, if you're not going to play, you're healthy, it's just a bad look.
Any GM in the league would have gladly taken Anthony Davis and said, oh, he was unhappy in New Orleans. Who cares? New Orleans sucks and they're not going to win anything. He's sick of it. This is a guy who's just a malcontent because the players on his team and his fan base turned on him for not shooting. It's a bizarre situation. So they'll come to New Orleans. They'll play the Pels tonight. What are your outlooks for the Pels this season?
Man, we got to get Gumbo on we got to get Zion on a workout program, man. He can't have your best players showing up to camp 300-plus pounds out of shape, not ready to go.
Hurt.
That comes from that, dude. You got to take care of your body. Like, I don't get what's going on with that. The Pels got to get that figured out. He's their whole offense to me. It opens up everything. You get guys clogging the paint and trying to help him, and it opens up shooters. I don't feel good about the Pels right now. We'll see, though. But I think you got to get Zion healthy for one. You got to get him in shape and ready to really lead this team.
It feels like this is kind of a breaking point. He can't play for 3 months or whatever. Like, I don't know. They come with these ambiguous statements about when he can or can't play or why he's hurt or why he's not or why it's and just like, if this doesn't happen soon, like, he's going to be out of there again. And he's saying all the right things. I don't know that he's doing all the right things. And at this point, it's very difficult to conjure up a ton of positive thoughts about David Griffin and the Pels organization as they run coaches in and out. Their star players run in and out. They're hurt. They're not. It just hasn't seemed to work.
Yeah, I've kind of felt really good about David Griffin at some points, but he's got to, be under the microscope a little bit here. You obviously you move some guys around and you bring in some people, and it's just not the success you want to have for a Pelicans organization who people keep thinking that they want to ship town. So you got to start finding ways to get wins, start getting some buzz around this team, and the best way to do it is getting Zion out there selling tickets and keeping butts in the seat. So got to get him back, and maybe things can kind of go the other way for them.
That'll do it for hour number 1 here. If you missed Josh Smith, former Tiger shortstop, he was really good. We enjoyed chatting with him at 12:15, 12:30. We looked at the Ole Miss offense. We'll take a turn and look at the Ole Miss defense here, as well as some more fighting Tiger thoughts on Jeremy's last show of the week on his birthday. See us tonight, 8 to 10 on the Tiger Zone after the Ed Orgeron show from TJ Ribs from 7 to 8. Come back with us on the other side of this timeout. It's Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
And injury lawyers. Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hour number 2 on a Wednesday, Hunt and Hill. As I said at the end of hour number 1, you can catch us tonight on the Tiger Zone, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. It'll be Chris Blair and Ed Orgeron from TJ Ribs of the Ed Orgeron Show. We will follow immediately following that on Eagle 98.1 with the Tiger Zone, taking your phone calls, your interaction on the Bayou Ford YouTube chat as well. Looking forward to that tonight, and then we'll send Jeremy off for the week, and I'll be back to work tomorrow, as usual. Let's talk about this Ole Miss defense. They have tried to bring in a number of transfers. They have tried to fortify this unit, and they actually looked like they knew what they were doing in the first half against Louisville. Since then, not so great. SEC teams are rushing for 261 yards per game on them. Alabama ran it 50 times for 210 yards. Arkansas ran it 58 times for 350 yards. Tennessee ran it 50 times for 222 yards. In those 3 games, those teams ran for 10 touchdowns. It is just a unit that is not doing a good job of getting stops at all. You can point to the fact they don't stop the run. You can point to the fact they don't stop the pass. You can point to the fact that they play too many plays, which they do, but none of it is very good.
This is a week where TDP just has his feet up on the couch all week, just sleeping really good, knowing the Rebels. Get to have the Rebels on Saturday and that rush defense that you get to go against. Just exactly what you want to have for an offense that hasn't really run the ball to the level they have, but just kind of catching some stride here. This is one of the teams you want to run into, this Ole Miss Rebel rush defense. And they run a ton of 3-man front, which gives you a ton of rushing lanes, and it's perfect for the strategy that we kind of unlocked against Kentucky and against Florida. And it gives you way more lanes to pull guys around, and that's what this offensive line just does a phenomenal job of. So going against this defense, not a ton of guys who are world beaters, not a bunch of all SEC, all-American guys. You got Chance Campbell, who has a bunch of tackles, Otis Reese, who has a bunch of tackles, but for the most part, it's guys that's really, like you said, trying to create a play, trying to make a play, trying to keep your offense out there for you to mess up, get a big holding call, and get their offense back on the field. So I think for us as an offense going into this game, just continue to do what you're doing last week. Run the crap out of the ball, and that'll give you a great chance to win this game.
I mean, you look at the plays that they've allowed teams to run. Alabama ran 77 plays to Ole Miss is just 63. Arkansas ran 93 plays to Ole Miss's 70. Tennessee ran 79. Ole Miss ran 101 in that game. But they're out there so much. And part of that's because they don't get a lot of stops on third down. And part of it's because their offense goes fast as well. But I just don't know how much you can expect from an undermanned defense if you're Lane Kiffin to hold teams that are running 84 plays a game in SEC play. That's a losing battle.
It's an uphill battle, especially when you really look at the depths of some of these rosters, like at Mississippi State, at Ole Miss. It's a bunch of 3- and 4-star guys, and you keep those guys out there time and time again, play after play, drive after drive. It gets to a point in the fourth quarter where you take their will. They're tired, they're exhausted, they haven't stopped you all day, and that's where you get big backs like TDP who can take over games. And so I think that's going to be our recipe for victory. Trying to minimize the chance for Max to have risk and really just allow him to play his game, and that's the RPO game. I think he does a great job, holding the ball in, finding guys on those short slant routes and things of that nature. I think that's going to be the style of this offense for the rest of the season.
Sam Williams is statistically Ole Miss's most productive pass rusher, but of his sacks, 1 versus Louisville, 2 against Austin Peay, 1 against Tulane. You look at the SEC games, did have 1 against Bama, 2.5 against, he had 1 against Bama, 1.5 against Tennessee. So that's a guy that LSU is going to have to deal with on the edge a little bit. But I'm trying to be cautious in my optimism on LSU running the football all over Ole Miss, because I'm certain that Arkansas has been a better running team than LSU this year. Alabama's certainly more physical and better up front than LSU. And Tennessee has found their running game in the last couple of weeks and was able to get that going a little bit against Ole Miss. Now, obviously, you look back at what you saw from LSU on Saturday, and you would be enticed to say that they'll just hand it off and gash them, but I guess I just need to see it again.
Yeah, you definitely need to see it again. But like I said earlier in the show, I think you found a kind of a rotation of guys who can really get that run game going. And those were the guys who really weren't playing this year. You didn't see much Anthony Bradford here and there. You didn't see much Marlon Martinez. And those are the 2 guys they pulled a ton against Florida. And they were making hay on the second level, getting to those linebackers and really pushing them around and giving TDP just wide open rush lanes to run through. So I think you keep those guys out there. If you want to mix Cam Wire in there a little bit, let him kind of play some snaps. We found something. So you got to continue to let those guys play and continue to do what you've been doing, because if we go out there and throw 50 pass attempts, I will not be a happy camper.
What do you make of Anthony Bradford's play?
I think it's good, man. I think his natural position is guard. He's a big, huge kid. You walk next to him, you can tell he does something athletic-wise, because he's a stud, man. And I think for him, though, I think with the makeshift line we have to create this year, next year, or maybe the end of this season, he's got to go back to his natural position, and that's guard. And you get that big boy pulling around and hitting some of these 220-pound linebackers, he's going to be moving stuff. So I think he'll be a player, and Coach O believes in him as well, thinks he's going to be an NFL guy, and I wouldn't be shocked by that either. This is from Cody Worsham's Twitter account. If you're not following Cody, get in there. He gets some great stats from the film he watches and the analytics websites that he comes up with. Jack Mashburn, who a lot was made of coming out of that game, in his role as tight end. LSU rushing without Jack Mashburn on the field this year. I realize numbers don't play great, but you'll get the gist. He's run it 130. They've run it without him on the field 136 times for 4 yards per carry. They average 0.8 yards before contact when he's not on the field. With him on the field, they've run it 66 times, so a little bit less than half. 6.3 yards per carry compared to 4, and 2.8 yards before contact. That is a full 2 yards more of moving the ball down the field before contact with Mashburn on the field. Now, that's not something we talked about a lot in August, is that Jack Mashburn was going to come in and save the day on the offensive line as an H-back, an edge blocker, a tight end, however you want to phrase it. But unequivocally, he made a huge difference in the game on Saturday. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what we saw early on with Cole Taylor and Jack. We just knew those guys weren't going to be moving the world in the run game. That's just not their strong suit. And that's kind of what you saw to start the year. Just 2 guys in there who are really receiving tight ends and really not their cup of tea to push big SEC D linemen around. But you see Mashburn, a former quarterback in high school, just coming into his role and sacrifices, wearing the big neck bull ring on his neck, meaning business out there, wants to push people around. And that's exactly what he's been in the run game. And probably if I'm Jake Peets in the crew, I'm trying to draw up a couple play-action plays with him in the game, because I know defenses are going to be key in that, seeing Mashburn out there.
Yeah, I have no idea if he can catch the football or not. Not a clue on earth if he can catch the football, but he can get in there and mix it up a little bit. He's a high school quarterback, just a really, really solid athlete, which is really good. And I think one of the things that's gotten buried a little bit in this season for LSU, because there's been some inconsistent play. There's no question about it. Max has not been great all the time, but statistically, he's doing some really good things. He's the second fastest quarterback to 20 touchdown passes in a season. He's done it in 7 games. Joe Burrow obviously did it in 5, but second quickest ever behind that guy. That's pretty good. And he started 9 games. He's thrown 3 or more touchdown passes 6 times in those 9 games. And as this is all coming from Michael Bonnet, Sports Information Director over at LSU, you can follow him on Twitter at LSU Bonnet. He's the only quarterback in LSU history to beat a ranked Florida team in consecutive years. That stuff's not insignificant. He's played pretty well.
Yeah, and that's why I was so high on him to start the year, especially just watching him in camp, just watching him, throw those big jump balls to the receivers. I thought he was poised to really, have a really great year. I think a lot of up and down play, a lot of makeshift line, just really, kind of missing on some deep balls he could have back. But for the most part, I think Max has done a good job out there dealing with what he's done, had to deal with. And I think giving him a run game, I think you're really going to see Max really get comfortable back there and really be able to run this offense at the level that it needs to be run at. But to grade him out, I think he's done well given the situation.
LSU and Ole Miss at 2:39 kickoff. So on Saturday you'll get 5 hours before kick for Moscona. Let's run the math on 2:30 back then. I'm so bad at math. It's unbelievable.
I think that's 11. Wait, 2:30 kickoff?
Oh, let's see. I'm on the air at 12:30. 3 hours before that. I still can't do the numbers. 9:30, Moscona on the air. 9:30, Eagle 98.1 game day. I'll take the airways at 12:30. The game and we'll be on the air until a little bit after 2 o'clock, about 2:10. So make us part of your Saturday. Saints back in action this weekend, a Monday night tilt with the Seahawks, expecting a lot of guys back. Sharif Ishaq from WDSU will come aboard with us next and tell us who we can expect back on the practice field for the Saints and what his anticipation is for how they'll respond to the bye week against Seattle. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Serving up the latest from the sports world. It's Hunt and Hill. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week, and also
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the SEC with Russ Mitchell. We'll do overrated, underrated, the latest on the LSU coaching search, and it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I'm getting absolutely annihilated in the Bayou Forward chat on YouTube, and rightfully so. I'm admittedly absolutely horrendous at math. I don't like it. It doesn't make sense. Everybody's got a calculator. That's my favorite thing when you were growing up, and we were like, why can't we just use a calculator? And the teacher would go, you're never going to have a calculator with you all the time. Oh, yeah, guess what? I do now. It's right here in this phone. I got a calculator whenever I need it, right here, and that's when I'll use it. Just didn't have one, wouldn't have it at the ready to do the math on the clock. I'm bad at math. It just is what it is. I hate math. Had to get into a degree program at LSU that didn't involve any math and didn't involve really any right answers. You just got to create your own answers. Sharif, how are you at math?
I was in Alpha Theta. I was pretty good.
Oh, yeah? All right. Well, I'm done talking about math, then. Let's talk about the Saints. All right. I know that coming off the bye, it's a deal where they're expected to, over the next couple of weeks, get a ton of personnel back. Let's start at kicker. What's the story with signed kickers, Will Lutz returning, all that jazz?
I think he's still probably a game or two away from coming back. You got to give him some time to get ready. I know it's a position where you're just kicking, but that core injury isn't easy necessarily to come back from that quickly, and that's why Brian Johnson's still on the practice squad. Now, when you designate somebody to return from IR, they have that 21-day window to put them on the active roster. So I would say he is probably closer than Michael Thomas, obviously. So it's not this week, maybe next week against the Buccaneers. I just don't see it happening this week unless I'm stunned when we go to practice tomorrow and he's full on the participation sheet for the practice.
What's the latest on Michael Thomas?
That's still 2 weeks. I said it 3 weeks ago. I thought the game that he would be back for would be the Falcons on November 7th, I believe. And I think that would probably be the right amount of time for him to get back. Still needs a week or two to get ready, to get into game shape. The guy hasn't played in a game or practiced since January. So you can't just say, all right, well, he's off the IR and let's go play football now. It doesn't work like that. So I would say November 7th would be the game, so 2 more games.
Yeah, we were talking about this Saints getting this bye week and guys coming back. Which guys actually are going to be healthy coming off this bye week?
That's a wonderful question, Jeremy, because I think a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the Washington football team game, I said, hey, over the next month they have 9 guys that could come back. And realistically, maybe Marcus Davenport, Quan Alexander, Traquan Smith could be the 3 definites I think could come back. Could. I'm not saying definitely, but those are the 3 guys I would look at the closest. And, boy, do they ever need Marcus Davenport, because that defensive line has only 5 of the team's 8 sacks. They're bottom of the league in pressure, so they need him back in a hurry. And David Onyemata will be back next week for the Buccaneers game, because that will be 6-game suspension, would be fully served after this game against the Seahawks.
I almost asked a question, and then I thought better of it, and I'm going to ask it a different way. What do you make of Cam Jordan's play at this point in his career?
He always gets this question every time we ask him, hey, when are you going to get your first sack? When are you going to get your first sack? And he's a guy who likes to have fun and kid around, but you could tell, like, it's frustrating to him not to have the sack, the multi-sack games that he's used to having. And, yeah, he's up there in age. He's been around since 2011, and the production has fallen off. He's getting double-teamed. He's getting chipped, but I still think he says it's no excuse. I should have bigger, better games, more, affecting the quarterback a little bit more. But he is worried if the other guys are eating and he's not, because he's getting the double teams, I think he'd be fine. But the issue is, guys, they're not really getting the pressure, and that's a concern to me. That's been the biggest concern, I think, this season so far through 5 games, is the lack of pressure and sacks this defensive line has not been able to put up so far.
Do you expect Traquan Smith to make a big impact when he comes back?
It be nice to have a guy who's a speedster other than Deontay Harris. Now, remember, he got hurt in the game against Washington. He hurt his hamstring. Now, that's another guy. Will he be, ready to go against Seattle? Will Taysom Hill be ready to go? So you better hope those two guys are ready to go if Traquan Smith isn't ready to go this week. They need somebody who can, spread it for Jameis Winston. They just need another receiver. I mean, they desperately need one, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got one before the deadline after the Buccaneers game. They just need someone. He has to be healthy. I mean, a lot of people expected big things from him this year, and then in training camp, boom, he suffers that hamstring injury, and it happened like on day 5 of training camp. He came back a few weeks later and just wasn't really healthy. He wasn't ready to go. They need him, though.
Sean Payton, one of the best play callers in the league. Obviously, bye week, a ton of time to make adjustments. Do you see him changing this Saints offense much heading into Seattle on October 25th?
That's the million-dollar question. I mean, we've seen a lot of, ups and downs. I would say you're starting to see a little bit more ups with Jameis Winston. And, it wasn't going to take, 3 or 4 games. It might take half the season before Jameis and Sean start to click and get a little bit more comfortable. But you're starting to see that things are starting to come around. Once they can run the ball with Alvin Kamara like they did against Washington, the passing game opens up a little bit more. You saw that with, LSU against Florida. Once they were able to run TDP, it felt like Max could just throw a little bit more comfortable. I just think that they need just a little bit more time. I think with the bye week, it really is going to help Jameis Winston and Sean Payton. Sean is really good off the bye week over the last 5 seasons. So I think they'll be just fine. But this place they're going to, I know they don't have Russell Wilson, they don't have Chris Carson, and they're a little banged up in Seattle. But it's never easy to play in Seattle, especially at night when the weather is the way it always is in Seattle.
If Sean Payton had one thing he wanted to accomplish during the bye week, what do you think that would have been?
Well, find somebody who could kick the ball through the upright. No joke. I am not serious. I tell y'all this every time you ask me. They need to find a kicker, and maybe Brian Johnson is that guy until Will Lutz comes back. But 1 of 4 on field goals, missing a couple extra points against Washington, not having that reliable kicker against the Giants. Sean Payton after the game was like, "Hey, we got to make these. We have to make these eventually." He's right, and that might have kind of cost them the game against the Giants. They need somebody who can kick a field goal. If your one job is to kick in the NFL and you cannot make field goals between 35 and 50 yards, then, I just don't know. I think that really bothers Sean Payton. Throughout his career, that's the one thing he has very little patience for, people who cannot make field goals or extra points. That really frustrates him to his core.
Let's go backwards a little bit. It's something you were just talking about is with Jameis. When y'all speak with him, I know he's pretty candid and outspoken. What does he make of the way the offense has functioned up before the bye?
I think he is just doing, what he is capable of doing right now in Sean Payton's system. He said, "Hey, man, I'm still building trust with Sean Payton, and Sean Payton is still, trying to build trust with me." And that, I mean, how could you not say that whenever you have the soon-to-be Hall of Famer as your quarterback for 15 seasons? It's going to take some trust, and it's going to take some time. I think the one thing I would like to see with Jameis is him not think too much. Like, stop trying to think about Jameis Tampa days and not making mistakes. Just play football. I think maybe during this bye week, I think that's the one thing I bet Sean Payton probably tells him, "Hey, be Jameis Winston, but not Tampa. Just don't think about making mistakes." I think that's what turns through his head. He is thinking about those mistakes, but I think he's just learning from Sean. Man, this was going to be a process. If they can run the ball and win the game with Jameis throwing 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions on 30 passes, I think that's what he would like. But I told y'all before the season starts, he doesn't need to throw 5,000 yards. He just needs to throw for 35 to 3,700 yards, 30 touchdowns, and, try to keep the turnovers down to maybe around 10 to 12. That's all you really need if you have Kamara. Now, they need another running back because Tony Jones Jr. is there, but I think he's going to start trending in an upward direction here after this bye week.
The Saints defense plagued with a ton of injuries, suspensions here and there. What guy do you think has kind of stepped up in the role and played big? I think for me it's been Paulson Adebo.
Debo has done a good job. When they brought over Bradley Roby, everyone was like, man, well, I guess his spot is going to be gone whenever Roby comes over. But he had one bad game and quickly bounced back. He did a good job. And for me, it's a couple people. Of course, I'm going to always say this until he retires from football, and it's DeMario Davis. He has been the glue that's held that defense together. And then than Marshawn Lattimore for me. He has been fantastic with a cast on his hand. It's almost like, dude, if you're a baseball player, you're superstitious. Do you take that cast off your hand? and because he's been very good with a cast. I know he wants it off, and I'm just joking because he wants to intercept passes, because I think he said there's a few passes that in these first 5 games he should have picked off. But I think those two guys have been really good, DeMario and Marshawn. But I do think Paulson has excelled as a rookie, and that's really been big for them. And he's going to get another big test this week with DK Metcalf and Lockett on the outside. Those two guys are beasts, and I know it's Geno Smith. And trust me, I remember what happened in 2013 when Geno Smith on the Jets beat the Saints in the Meadowlands, and that was just not pretty.
All right, Sharif Ishaq joining us, WDSU. Sharif, since I just mentioned how good I am at math, let's play a little math game here for you. How many, just as a starter, how many wins do you think it takes to get to the playoffs? 10-7? Does that get you there?
I think this year it's going to take 10 wins.
Okay.
It will take a 10-7 campaign.
Your last 5, if you're the Saints, are very manageable with one significant caveat. But your last 5, you're at the Jets. That's very winnable. Then you go to the Bucs. That's going to be really tough. Then you play the Dolphins at home and the Panthers at home. Very, very winnable. Then you're at the Falcons. So your last 5 are very manageable. My question is, can they get through this gauntlet they're about to run at Seattle, home Tampa, then the Falcons, at Tennessee, at Philly, and then home Bills, home Cowboys? That's the issue, is can you get through the next 7 to get to the last 5?
Right. So I think if they get to the next 7, let's go realistically, let's get to 4-3. So that puts them at what?
That would put them at 7 and 5, and then you'd only have to go 3-2 at the end, and that's really, really manageable. So, I mean,
right.
that would be difficult, but do you think they can do it?
I do think they can do it. I do think they can win in Seattle, a close game. And call me crazy, I think they can beat Tampa. Tampa Bay's secondary is devastated right now. They're so beat up in the secondary. I just don't know, like, that if Jameis is really, like, clicking by the time they get to next week's game, they're going to be able to throw the ball. Now, that's one of the best run defenses in the NFL right now, so they're going to have to probably throw the ball a little bit more against Tampa Bay. And I would be, like, wanting to throw the ball a lot if that secondary is beat up. Don't be surprised if they can win the next 2 games. I'm always worried about, like, those games, like Atlanta, the Jets, Dolphins. You know, you're like, you should win those games. The Giants, and they didn't win those games. It's almost like, man, I feel like the Saints have one of those letdowns once a year, and I'm thinking maybe it was the Giants game.
Yeah.
But 11 wins, that's not out of the question right now for the Saints. A lot of people pick them to go 9-8 or 10-7 or 11-6.
All right, I got a question. I'll just flip the question for you. Who on this offense? I know we were talking about a bunch of the receivers having big camps. Who on the offense kind of stepped up this year that you really didn't expect to have that type of production from?
Well, it started off slow for our guy Marquez Callaway, me and Hunt's guy Marquez Callaway. But he's come on the last few weeks. I'm a little surprised with him. I mean, what were you going to expect? He was never going to put up Michael Thomas's numbers, but it's really hard to pick who's surprised me so far offensively. If we're just going pass catchers, I guess Deontay Harris. I mean, they've given him exactly what they needed, a guy who can get open down the field with an arm, and Jameis Winston. Now he's just got to stay healthy. I do like him. I do like what he can do. He stretches the field. He can run receiver screens, and he can even get open into intermediate routes. So, like, I like what he's done so far, but I'm going to stay on the Marquez train, man. And so I just think the Patriots game, this last game with the Hail Mary and another touchdown, he's had some key receptions over the last 2-3 weeks. So I think, you're going to see a little bit more Marquez. But remember, you're going to get Nick Vannett back, and Adam Troutman has to certainly get his game going. He's dropped some key passes and had some holdings that it's just not good for him right now. But it's hard to say because they don't have their full complement of players right now.
Thanks, Sharif. We appreciate some time.
Anything for you two guys.
Sharif Ishaq from down there at WDSU talking Saints. Take a timeout. Come back a little more. Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer. Jeremy Hill. Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram are now open for business and are ready to serve our customers with disaster relief employee pricing off I-10 in LaPlace. If you need sales, service, or fleet, the crews at Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram are going to do right by you.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult.
It's week 8 in the prep football season, and we get you started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview. Catholic High and Settlement kick off at 7, immediately followed by a full 2 hours of the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, CST, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Thank you to Sharif Ishaq for jumping aboard. We appreciate his time on a Wednesday. Half an hour left with us here on Hunt and Hill. A couple of college football storylines I wanted to get to with you, Jay Hill. Dan Mullen was again asked on the teleconference today what he thought about his quarterback spot. And he said, we're going to move forward with 2 quarterbacks. And the Florida media was all over him on Saturday. There was one beat writer, and I don't know their beat well enough to give the guy credit or whatever, to mention him by name, but he was incensed. He looked like he was home on Skype, and his tenor was, he just said, Dan, I mean, what am I missing on Anthony Richardson here? I mean, he looks like a transcendent player, one of the best we've ever seen, and yet he can't get out on the field very much. The guy was just like heartbroken that they had lost and Anthony Richardson wasn't out there. And Mullen was like, yeah, well, he's a young quarterback. I don't want you to put any labels on him. I think he's developing. That's the label I put on him. And the whole fan base and the media are ready to just give Richardson all the keys. You saw those two guys play on Saturday. What do you think?
I think he just has more juice than Embry, a little more higher ceiling, a little more potential there. You look at Embry, who's played a ton of college snaps at the college level. He's 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. It's just, I know if that was our starting quarterback for LSU, we would not be too excited about those numbers. So I think when you see Richardson hurdling guys and running for 80-yard touchdowns, 70-yard touchdowns, and you want to see what he can do, you want to put him out there. I just think for Dan, he probably doesn't see him as a level of passer that you would love to see at this point, and that's probably why he hasn't, really gained the trust of Dan and really be the guy for a whole game. So I think until he figures that out, I know for sure next year he'll probably be the guy, but I see Dan kind of running this two-man system, which he has done in his past before.
He has, and generally speaking, if you've got a young, precocious talent like Richardson who may turn it over, may miss a read, may not have his guys set into protection, may make some big mistakes, you play the other guy because he's older and he's safer and you feel a little more comfortable with him. The problem with that is Emory Jones throws 2 interceptions in every game he plays. He has thrown 2 interceptions in all but one game. It's not safer. Richardson came in, he's throwing 40-yard touchdowns down the right sideline of the end zone, making rushing touchdown plays. He seemed to be running that offense pretty smooth. It looks like a slam dunk to me. I'm not in practice. I don't know what Richardson does or doesn't know. I don't know how complicated the offense is. I don't know how many mistakes he made that I didn't see on Saturday. But I see Emory Jones' mistakes every week, and the other guys making big plays. It seems pretty easy to me.
Yeah, I think they're hanging on to that Bama game, the way he played at home in that game. He played well. He didn't really turn the ball over. And so in Dan's head, he's like, I know he can do it. That's a big show. That's a big game. That's a big environment. He did it there. Maybe he can string it together. But the numbers don't lie. You turn it over time and time again. Just watching him, even against USF and teams like that, he's turned the ball over against teams like that. So it's just not what you want to see, the level of production you want to see from an SEC quarterback. And Emory, He uses his legs very well, but just not consistent enough throwing the ball down the field, which leads me to believe, which is why I said, you got to put Richardson out there. You got to see what's in that tank and how big can he get. And I think he really does have the higher ceiling when you just watch both of them play.
They've got an off week, and then they go to Jacksonville to play Georgia. And I guess I understand wanting to put the veteran out there against the best defense in the country, but man, I'd be tempted to put the guy out there who might break a 65-yard touchdown run. That is something that I would be interested in.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. And you got to have those electric playmakers, especially for a Florida team that really doesn't have those all-SEC guys on the outside. You can't really point to a Biletnikoff guy. It's just offense really designed to run the ball and really, use those quarterback runs, use those RPOs, use that mixed direction stuff. And if you have a guy like Richardson that's explosive and as electric as he is, to me, he unlocks that offense. But for Dan, I think he's seeing some of the turnovers that Richardson's having, maybe some of the blitz pickup stuff he's not getting. And so you throw Emory out there, but to me, Richardson's just a better guy right now.
So let's shift a little bit. Of course, everybody down here wants to watch the SEC. It's what drives our bus. We understand that it's the conference we pay the most attention to. I would contend that the Big Ten is the most interesting conference in the country this year. I'm not going to watch them play very much football. But they are the most interesting because of some of the storylines that have developed, some of the teams that have eked their way to the forefront. Has Ohio State figured it out? We talked to Pete Futek a couple of days ago. He's like, yeah, they have, so watch out, C.J. Stroud. And last week on the show, I said, now I was wrong, but I was also right in being wrong. I said Iowa is just going to lose one of these games that we didn't figure was even really going to be an issue. And I said, I don't think it'll be this week against Purdue. It's at home. Purdue's not very good, but it'll be at Northwestern, or it'll be one of those games where you look up and, oh, my God, Iowa lost that game, and then lo and behold, they did it against Purdue, where I said they wouldn't do it. So that's a team that has been knocked down a peg, and rightfully so. We figure next on that list of dominoes to fall is probably Michigan, who's crept up to number 6 in the polls. They're 6-0 through the easy half of their schedule. They still got They got Northwestern next, and they're at Michigan State. They're undefeated. Do we know how good Michigan State is? We're probably going to have to pay a lot of attention to them down here based on who their coach is. But then they got Indiana. Then they're at Penn State. And then to finish the season, they've got a home game against Ohio State. How much are you buying Jim Harbaugh's team here as they play one more non-ranked team coming off 2 road games against mediocre teams in Wisconsin and Nebraska, where it wasn't the prettiest, but they got it done. And they're 6-0, in as good a position as they've been, save one season under Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, I would put a little more value into it if I can put, hey, where's their signature win at? I think their best win is Wisconsin, and we've seen kind of what Wisconsin turned out to be this season. So that's not as valuable as we thought when they were playing them at the time. And so we'll see the real Michigan coming up here. I know a lot of people are saying Harbaugh finally has his quarterback. Let's see when they play actually someone with the pulse. So I'm going to hold my expectations on Michigan until I kind of see them play some more competition, and I think they're going to get right what they're asking for on October 30th when they got to go to Michigan State.
McNamara has been pretty good for them at quarterback. That's kind of been a missing piece for them. They've been pretty average there through the Shea Patterson era and wherever you want to lean. But McNamara seems to be giving them a little bit of stability. He's only turned it over one time. He's completing 60%. He's been serviceable, and they've put up some reasonable point totals here over the last few weeks on the road. 38 against Wisconsin, 32 against Nebraska. Realize he's not responsible for all of that. They've done some on defense as well. But he seems to be the best they've had in a bit. I think I feel excuse me. I feel okay about them against Michigan State, and Penn State hadn't been a world beater. I still think Ohio State is in a different class than them, even with that loss.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of the SEC West, how the way the Big Ten set up. It seems like the East and the Big Ten, you got Michigan State, you got Ohio State, you got Penn State.
That's how it always is.
Yeah, so all the teams that are going to beat each other up are all in the East, and they kind of just got to walk into Iowa, whoever wins the East. So I think for now, I think Ohio State's a class. I love the weapons they have on the outside. Stroud is, it's been, the year you thought you'd have from him with the weapons. He said obviously he'd love to have that Oregon game back, but he's been playing out of his mind. He got Olave on the outside as well. So I think Ohio State's the team in that division, and we'll see if the Sparties can answer some questions, because I know people are loving what Mel's doing with that team.
Yeah, it's going to, again, I think it's the most fascinating. Georgia's going to run away with the East and the SEC. They handle their business against Kentucky, and Florida's trying to find itself, and everyone feels pretty comfortable about Alabama in the West as usual. So it's not that interesting until you get to playoff time. The Big Ten, with an unbeaten Michigan, with an Iowa team that was unbeaten, with an unbeaten Michigan State, with Penn State trying to play spoiler here in the top 10, Ohio State trying to find itself. There's more power players with a chance to move forward. The question is, as we asked time and time again before the season even starts, are Clemson, Ohio State, and Alabama already in? And the answer to that right now is no, because Clemson's not, and Alabama's got a lot of work to do. But Ohio State, who we wrote off, and Oklahoma, who we wrote off in the Big 12, are all of a sudden kind of creeping back up and knocking on that door going, hey, forget about us. Don't do that.
Yep, those are the brands, too. If they finish the season with one loss, it's an automatic bid right into the playoff. Doesn't really matter how it looks. If they find a way to end this season with one loss, they're going to get in. And you got to respect those teams. Obviously, they get to where they are year in and year out based on their conference and the teams they schedule for non-conference games, and that's what you're going to see. So I think Ohio State, got to respect them, especially in that conference with teams who are really unproven. And you kind of see where Penn State is, especially with their quarterback situation. Ohio State can easily run that division. I think Oklahoma, finding their quarterback in Caleb, that can probably give them that boost, that springboard of a guy they can really believe in. With their schedule they're going to be right there too.
We'll come back and close out Jeremy's week on Hunt and Hill right here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Coming up on Thursdays Off the Bench, let's look forward to the football weekend that will be as we break down the best games coming up. Can LSU pull off the upset the second year in a row over the Rebs? Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Winding down a birthday edition of Hunt and Hill. 29?
Oh, yeah, getting that pushing 30. Sheesh, got to slow it down here a little bit.
So everyone will love you saying that. So what do we got on the docket?
Man, I think I'm just going to relax a little bit this afternoon. Get ready for Tiger Zone.
Yep.
And after Tiger Zone, I'm going to get a little rowdy. Got to get that tequila pumped in my veins a little bit here.
Got an early flight.
Yeah, I got an early one. So not too much, just a little something.
I love Mexican. That's fired up that you're headed down there. All right, let's get into some take it or leave it here. Case Keenum's going to start for the Browns on Sunday against the Broncos. Take it or leave in Case Keenum getting a win this Sunday in the absence of Baker Mayfield.
Oh, I'm going to leave that. I just I don't like the direction my Super Bowl pick for the AFC has been going in, man. They just have not been looking good. The defense has not been the defense. I thought they'd be a dominating defense this year with Myles Garrett and Clowney coming off the edge and just not what you want to see. And obviously Odell coming off that injury, not playing to the all-pro level that you're used to seeing him play at. So, man, I just have to probably jump off this Brown train pretty quick here. But
they're toast. I think they're toast. Baker's just too beat up, can't play. I don't know that that's going to get a lot better. I don't feel very good about them at all. The way the Ravens are playing, they're running the football, they're playing defense. The Bengals are playing a little bit better now. Obviously the Steelers aren't any good, but I think the Browns are pushing it.
All right, Vegas opened their odds for the next head coach of LSU football. Mel Tucker leading the way as a plus 200 favorite. You taking or leaving Mel Tucker as the most likely candidate for the football Fighting Tigers?
I don't know. I'll leave it for right now. I think the way that Scott Woodward ran that baseball search, you didn't necessarily hear a lot of Jay Johnson. Leading up to the Kim Mulkey hiring, there wasn't a lot of smoke there other than the last day before it happened. And so I just think that the things will be a little bit tight-lipped. There's always going to be someone in some level who thinks they know something or thinks they heard something or wants to be the first person to think something, and then all the rumors start to swirl, and that's not going to stop until they run somebody to the podium. But right now, I think that Scott Woodward realizes he's got a little time. He's got a really great opportunity for somebody, and I just don't think he's telling a bunch of people who his top guy is. I just don't think that is the case, so that's kind of where I am. Yankees front office demanding more from Aaron Boone, but they give him a 3-year contract extension, taking or leaving Aaron Boone as the guy to get the evil empire back to the World Series.
I guess I got to take this one.
I'll take it.
Man,
you don't gotta. You're bashing the Lakers.
I have to take this one at this one. I mean, 3 years. I mean, I know we're not going to do a Russell Westbrook for 3 years, so we got a chance here. We still got AD, so we got a chance there. The Yankees, we got Boone for another 3, so man, we got to avoid getting into these freaking play-in wild card games. It's just miserable. You're sweating your brain out, hoping you can catch fire in one of these one-offs, and we got to play better throughout the season. Got to start faster, and I think for us, we got to, all the money we bring in, we got to get another ace next to Garrett. I think that's the next spot for us. You got to have 2 out there trotting to some of these playoff series, going on some of these weekend road trips. Got to have 2 aces, so I think that's going to be our next step for us. So I'm going to believe in us, man. Evil Empire, baby. We'll make our run.
That's Brian Cashman's job, and he's been there forever. It's not Aaron Boone's fault that Joey Gallo and Aaron Judge strike out a lot. That's what they do. Giancarlo Stanton strikes out a lot. That's what he does. Gleyber Torres is striking out a lot. I mean, they've got a lot of guys that don't make contact. So if you're not hitting it 440 feet, you're whiffing a bunch. That's not really the manager's fault. I realize he can do some things a little bit differently in terms of pitchers and all that kind of stuff. But Brian Cashman's the one shopping for the groceries, and the groceries right now are not as good as Tampa's or Boston's. That's just the fact of the matter.
Yeah, I think you talked about it with this LSU team. I mean, we got Brett Gardner, but as far as team speed goes, we don't got guys running the bases. I mean, everything is home run or bust.
May's not fast. Gallo's not fast. I mean, it's not a. I mean, obviously, it's just not. It's not a team that's really athletic at all.
Yeah, this is bad. So hopefully next year, unless these bats get going, it's going to be another long year. You want to read that one or want me to get it?
You can get it.
All right. Giannis and the Bucks, they rout the Brooklyn Nets 127-104 to open the season. Are you taking or leaving the Bucks as favorites to win it all again?
I'm going to leave that for now. I will go with Brooklyn. I like Durant the most. He's got to stay healthy, obviously, but I like Brooklyn. Now I realize they've got some issues with Kyrie, and that goes without saying. But I trust those 2 guys with the ball in their hand that are out there right now. I think they'll make it work around them. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. That's my pick for it. Obviously, to me, Kevin Durant, you got the best basketball player in the world to me right now. You saw in the Olympics, just with him on the court, it's just a different level that he can tap into, especially when he gets going, especially at home too. I think he plays at a crazy all-time high level. I love Harden out there, but to me, I think Kyrie really unlocks that team. He really gets that offense going at an all-time level. You saw when they had all 3 of them in the first when they played the Bucks last year in the playoffs. They beat them by 50. So you get all three of those guys going. Who knows what's going to happen with the mandate in New York? Hopefully something happens soon in the favor of the Nets, but I don't see it changing anytime soon. So for me right now, until they get Kyrie back, I may think I'd like the Bucks to really come out the East.
All right, you're going to be gone the next 2 days on Hunt and Hill. We'll have you on the Tiger Zone tonight. But what do you think about LSU and Ole Miss this weekend?
LSU Ole Miss, man, it depends on two things. Well, one, really, if Corral's playing,
he's going to play.
Yeah, so with Corral playing, I think you're fighting an uphill battle, especially watching the defense. Obviously, we got some turnovers last week, but you still get some turnovers and give up 42. Mm-hmm. That's alarming to me. So it kind of reminds me of Ole Miss last year. It's kind of pretty much the same team we're going to see. So for us, got to get TDP going, got to keep Max playing at a good level. If all that goes right, I think you can find yourself in this ball game. Maybe you can get Corral to turn over, which he just hasn't done yet. But if I have to pick, man, I'm feeling good. That win, beating Florida, beating Dan Mullen, I'm going to take the Tigers. Now, give me the Tigers.
There's the sunshine. It's back. It took him 5 days, and he's right back on the sunshine. All right, that's good stuff. If you missed anything on the show today, you can go back and catch it on demand at 1045ESPN.com, or you can check the YouTube page brought to you by Bayou. For Josh Smith, I thought was great in the first hour, former Tiger shortstop, talking about minor league life, and had a great line about his thoughts on going to college, first going from high school to the minor league baseball. We looked ahead at Ole Miss in the first hour as well. Sharif Ishaq from WDSU joined us to talk Saints in the second hour. We'll be back on the Tiger Zone from 8 to 10, Eagle 98.1, taking your phone calls. Matt Moscona is driving you home on 104.5 ESPN. That'll be from 3 to 6 on After Further Review. Jimmy Ott's Game Time from 6 to 8. Next, it's the boys, Mario and Musso. They got your early line. This has been Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN.